It's time for our Great British Debate this hour. I'm asking, does the traditional UK family structure need preserving? New data from the Office of National Statistics says that more babies are being born out of wedlock. That phrase is just so quaint, isn't it? Compared to those born in married families for the first time on record, which I think is 1845 these records began. In 1978, only 1 in 10 births were out of wedlock. But since then, that number has crept up a quarter, and in 1988 and in 2022. What is that number now? 51%. But could this just be down to a symptom of changing society, where people are getting married later, having fewer children, even the pandemic? We couldn't get married that easily during the pandemic, could we? With the average divorce rate in England and Wales being over a third, is the UK falling out of love with love and the traditional idea of marriage? So, for the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, does the traditional UK family structure need preserving? And I wish these two were in the studio, because it'd be very feisty indeed. First, though, I'm joined by journalist and broadcaster Sam Dowler. Hello, Sam. Welcome to the show.
Oh, it's been a while. How are you?
It's been a long while. That's a very devilish chuckle there, young man. Right, OK, Sam. So, sorry, marriage is a wonderful thing. The family structure is to be supported to the nth degree, surely. Sam?
No, it is. I mean, obviously, you know, I'm a big advocate for gay marriage, for example. People fought for it, etc. So I couldn't possibly say that that was generally about, you know, you can have a bad marriage if you want to as well, gay people. But I think it is an old school tradition. And at the end of the day, like you just said, like wedlock. Oh, I mean, come on now. It's the same as illegitimate. I mean, these are phrases that aren't relevant in today's society, and you know, and also like the whole you know notion that people would stay together for the kids and stuff and live in like unhappy marriages so that their children would have both their parents around. I mean, this is archaic, and it's, you know, we're moving away from that, and that's a great thing.
But Sam, every single study has demonstrated that a committed partnership, whether it's a gay partnership or a heterosexual partnership, and preferably marriage, is better not only for the children, but also for the adults involved as well. Mental health, physical health, all of these things are statistically proven to be improved.
No, I agree with you. I think, you know, it's great for kids to have two parents. I mean, I'm not saying, but also it's fine for kids to have a single parent as well. But they don't have to be married. The whole idea of wedlock is, as I said, it's archaic, and weddings in this day and age are so expensive, and the whole industry is basically built around the idea of bumping up the prices on everybody that even wants to get married. I mean, like, and also, like you said before, like during the pandemic, there was all marriages were cancelled, etc. Like, I mean, so therefore people still had kids, and they had kids out of wedlock. Most of the friends that I have had their children before they got married.
So, but hold on a minute, Sam. So you're a big advocate of gay marriage, which is brilliant. I fully support it. My lovely next-door neighbours have been happily married for a long, long time. But marriage is an old-fashioned institution, so the two don't quite compute with me.
No, I said I'm a fan of gay marriage because I'm a fan of marriage equality. I'm not a big fan of marriage in general, whether it be gay or straight. I mean, marriages. I mean, as I said, like many of my friends have gotten divorced, and they are poisonous divorces as well. Family members have gotten divorced. I mean, you know, it's more important to look after the welfare of the child than it is to, you know, maintain a relationship that isn't working. Surely.
Of course, and no one's actually advocating staying in an unhappy relationship. That's not good for anybody. So, Sam, if some handsome young man were to propose to you, you'd be saying, no, marriage is a bit old-fashioned.
Do you know what? It depends on the person. It depends on the marriage. I mean, like, I do have a partner, and we've been to a few weddings, gay weddings and straight weddings this summer, and every time he goes, "Oh, our wedding's not going to be like this." If we do have a wedding, like he wants it to be science fiction themed and all sorts. So I mean, who even knows? I mean, like I don't think we would have children, so it's not really relevant on that. But I think the idea of marriage is fine if you want to have it. I love going to weddings. I think it's great, but I don't think it is necessary in the slightest, or even should have anything to do with having children.
Right, okay, and so would children make a difference to whether you had your marriage ceremony science fiction or not? I've now got an image of you as Luke Skywalker, which is completely wrong, by the way. But would children make a difference to a relationship?
Well, this is the thing. Like a friend of mine, she's had 3 children, 3 girls under 3 actually, and her and her boyfriend are due to be married next year. And obviously the pandemic got in the way, and it's nice they will have the 3 girls as their bridesmaids, etc. But and it is nice for them to have a marriage because they, hopefully will stay together. But at the end of the day, it's not essentially. It had nothing to do with them having children. It's about them, the party, the relationship, and sometimes obviously legalities as well.
That's lovely. Thanks, Sam. Lovely to chat to you this afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm getting a hat ready for when you do have your science fiction wedding. Thank you so much for that. Now, I'm also joined by political commentator Emma Webb. Hello, Emma.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you for joining us. Now, I'm guessing you possibly might not agree with some of the things Sam said. What do you reckon?
Well, I think we just have to look at the statistics. So, firstly, the fact that monogamous countries, and this is a point that that Louise Perry, I almost said Katy Perry there, Louise Perry has made, which is that monogamous systems do better than polygamous countries do. The fact that, as you already mentioned there, Dawn, all of the studies suggest that both children and parents are better in terms of their well-being on all outcomes, psychological, physical, social, on a range of outcomes. Both the children and the parents are better off in a nuclear family with 2 married parents. There are also studies by, for example, the Institute of Family Studies that showed that children do better with 2 in school who have 2 married biological parents as opposed to adopted parents. That's not to say that adoption is not a good thing. Of course it is, and probably preferable for those children given the circumstances they would be in otherwise. But the point is that on a range of outcomes, whether it's education, whether it's health, children do better within a nuclear traditional family, and so do the parents. The parents also do better out of this, and society, with families being the first institution of any community, and not only local communities but national communities. In order to have a strong and stable society, it's clear that the traditional family unit, the nuclear family, and having 2 married parents is the ideal setup. And that's still the case, even if it is the case that those things are declining in our society. I would say that that's a very bad thing.
Emma, you very firmly said sort of like married parents there. Is there a difference between a couple who are married raising a family, in your mind this is, and a couple who are just living together in a committed, faithful relationship but not necessarily married? Why is marriage important?
There is a difference in the statistics. So children who are born to unmarried couples that are cohabiting, some of the studies suggest that the children in that relationship are more likely to not see their to not see their father for 2 years of that formative period. So say from the age of about 3. So there are studies that show that actually having 2 married parents is better for a child's well-being, and particularly that it's better for boys. So on a number of outcomes, particularly having the father present, as we know that it's more likely for children to be with their mother in a single parent situation. For boys in particular, having their biological father around and having a father figure is extremely important for their development. It has a huge effect on their ability to develop empathy when they're adults, to develop social relations. It has a huge effect on how many years in school, in education, how well they do in terms of their educational outcomes. So actually marriage is very important, and that's probably because it is a stabilizing factor.
That's great. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we really appreciate your contribution. And, well, let's have a look at what some of you have been saying on this one. So, Thea, you say, so long as the baby is loved and cared for, the marital status of the parents is irrelevant, as the sex, gender, religion or race of the parents. That's to say, it's not relevant at all. Maggie, meanwhile, says, I'm a big believer in what works for some doesn't work for others. I know couples who were together for years, then got married and split up soon after. Oh dear. Melanie, meanwhile, says, I believe as long as a child is brought up with both parents and taught good values, there is no problem. Meanwhile, Jerry says, marriage now is just a label and an excuse for a party. Oh, wow. OK.